There is the sound there, my friend. Just going through some troubleshooting at the moment. We're having some interesting issues. I had the main camera just stop working, which was a bit annoying. And then trying to fix that, I switched the other ones off, but maybe I've fixed it now. We'll see. Maybe not. Hello, Xtab. We'll see. We'll see if that's fixed. Ketis Nouveli. Yeah, apparently running the cam link through a USB hub can sometimes fix the problem if the picture starts freezing. The other options is to lower the quality, which isn't really something I'm keen on doing, but it's an option, I suppose. Very good, Keats. I like that a lot. Significantly easier, much more Australian as well. Thank you, Xtab. A lot of practice. Hairdryer on. Sorry in advance and afterwards. Yes, the hairdryer is the ubiquitous tool in my arsenal. The one thing, probably more than anything else, that I attribute to my speed to. So, get one immediately. Improve in a short time span, do you mean? Well, I've been doing display painting stuff like this for just over 4 years now, so I guess it depends what you consider a short time span. Hot air, Jeffrey. Hello, Ben. Chummers, I am probably the worst person when it comes to choosing colours. I just decide I'm going to paint some colours. I just go, yep, I'm going to paint this green today. And often something I'll start with will completely change halfway through because I realise that it looks shithouse. Ah, yes. Back in the old days. Back in the days when I was a pretty good player of the old War Machines. Those days are long gone now. Yeah, I don't know. Because there's people like Colwell, Dave Colwell, who he plans all of his colours out at the start of painting. He's like, yep, cool, I'm going to do this project, I'm going to paint this and this and this. And I don't know, it feels like it's very... formulaic's not the right word, but it feels a bit sterile. And I think sometimes I've told him this to his face, so you don't have to think I'm backstabbing him. It feels like it's a bit sterile, his work. So I think sometimes if you just pick some colours and went a bit out there, sometimes maybe he'd have some more dynamic looking pieces. Not sure. Seem to be going okay so far. 9 minutes. Does anyone remember at the last stream when that other thing stopped working? I don't remember. I'll check the tapes later on. Yeah, I painted a model a little while back, which was another Carl Rudick model actually. And it was very awesome model. And I was halfway through and I realised I hated just about everything about the colours I'd chosen. So I started with very warm colours and pinks, and the skin tone was very warm, and the demon hands were going to be purple, and then it ended up being blue and white and almost nothing like what it had started as. So sometimes it probably takes me more time, but I think generally it's probably something that's pretty freeform and pretty quick. Kaha, when she came out here to Brisbane, she stayed with me and we got to talk a bit about it. Her technique is pretty repetitive. She does the same things. I think and the colours she chooses tend to be the same colours, but I think what's really dynamic about her work is her placement of highlights and where she chooses to do those things. That's the thing that's pretty unique for her. Still going okay so far, which is good. Yeah, Jeffy, good question, mate. I was actually just going to ask whether I should do purple or red. At this stage, I'm thinking purple. Yeah, let's do that. Haha. Can't believe you've got 2 kids, Jeff. Blows my mind. Alright, ready purple it is. Let's do some of that now. Do, do, do. 7 and 4. My goodness. I remember when she was playing in my shop. On the ground. How long ago was that? Don't know. Keats, there's a variety of paint ranges I use. My favourite colours are mostly Vallejo and Nocturna. I also have the full range of Chimera paints, and I use them on pretty much every model, which is good. They've got some really good, interesting colours, strong pigment, very thin paints. And I have a lot of Scale Fantasy colours as well. But I've said in a couple of my little classes that I've done that the colour range doesn't really matter to me. I much prefer the colours themselves. Like, I want specific colours, not a specific range. So if there's a cool colour from a range, I'll go and buy that colour, and so on. One of the issues you just raised there with like a satin finish and a scale 75 being too matte, because I use a lot of airbrush varnishing throughout stages of the model, I will control that level of finish throughout the paint so that I can see the actual finish of the model. Anyone watched WandaVision yet? I haven't watched it, so don't spoil anything if you have. I've heard it's different. Time to see what's become of me. Oh, and I also use contrast paints from Games Workshop. Alright, so this stream's been now going for 16 minutes, so that's good. Ah, Vince, my man, how are ya? Long time no speak. I guess you're not coming to Australia for CanCon this year, eh, pal? Good. I'm excited to see you, pal. Hopefully you'll spend a bit more time hanging out with the cool painters instead of those AOS fellows. I'm doing some exciting projects soon, Vince. I've got another diorama with some 75mm versions of the Companions of the Hall from R.A. Salvatore's book series, and then I've also got all of the Echoes of Camelot models coming. I'm going to do a whole piece, one's big diorama on those. It's going to be massive. So yeah, I'm doing some cool stuff at the moment. I like it. It is all time. I read those books when I was growing up in school, and absolutely still think books like that and stories like that shaped my my love of miniatures and the hobbies that I've got now. So 3 to 5 things. This is number 1, Joe Sonia's Magic Mix. Can't live without that. This is number 2, Zip Kicker spray. Number 3 would be this, my airbrush, which I'm about to use right now. I'll probably use my smaller one. And number 4 would be this, AK Ultra matte, and probably don't have a number 5. Those are the things that get used on every model I do. Alright, let's do some airbrushing. Why those? The Joe Sonia Magic Mix is just a good all-purpose thinner, and I feel like you need to have a thinner. The AK Interactive Ultra Matte I've talked about. The Zip Kicker, I mean, I hate assembly. I just hate it. I'd rather spend my time painting, and so the Zip Kicker makes that process significantly quicker. I don't often have a problem with paint rubbing off, no. I try not to handle the model where I've painted it often, but sure I don't get it right every time. Still live on the stream. Looks good so far. 22 minutes now. Beautiful. Ooh. Well, the first brush I used was a Neo, and I do notice a difference in the performance, but I do think that to notice the difference you've got to have practiced with a brush, with an airbrush. So I always recommend the Neo for people as a starting brush, because I think you need to spend some time developing the skills, otherwise you can't tell the difference. It's still a good brush, the Neo. The compressor is just one I got from my local hobby shop, and I've never replaced it. I bought it, I don't know, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, however long it was. Might even be longer than that, you know. But I've been thinking for a little while about upgrading it. It's probably due for an upgrade. I actually have I have 3 airbrushes, believe it or not. I don't use the Neo anymore. I switch between this HPB, which is the smaller of the 2 brushes for most of my fine detail work, and then I use this one, the HPCS, for bigger stuff. You can use the HPCS for detail, but yeah, I like the slightly smaller nozzle. It really does depend what you're using it for, GT. If it's for what the majority of people use the airbrush for, which is painting armies and base coating and stuff, I would definitely get the HPCS, assuming you've had the skills to use it. If you're using it for stuff like this, for detail work, and you're not just, you know, doing heaps and heaps of undercoating, then yeah, this slightly smaller brush just lets you do a few more things. I mean, I've got the air too high at the moment to be able to do, you know, super fine detail work here. But with this brush, I can get all the way down to sort of this far away, and can control the spray pretty well. So this one's my one. Compressor, yeah, I don't know. Just something that's got a moisture trap, and it can go from about 10 psi to 30 or 40. You don't need any more than that. Yeah, I'm gonna do an airbrush class, but you're probably better off doing Gav's like beginner airbrush class if you're not confident. My airbrush class is gonna be more of an advanced techniques class than anything else. Ooh. For sure. Chum Dabs, where are you based? Hopefully it's Brisbane. Ah, beautiful. Join me. Hoot. No, that was the AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish that I am spraying over everything, so I can start doing more detail stuff. Because I did, just then through the airbrush I did contrast paints, I did Chimera paints, I did Scale Fantasy paints, and those all are varying degrees of reflectiveness, particularly the Chimera and the contrast paints. They're almost at opposite ends of the spectrum. So by doing this, we get to, just so you know, you are all literally watching a stream of paint drying, just so you're aware of that. I'm glad we got that out in the open. Oh, beautiful. Where's the invite, Jeffy? Love a smoked brisket. How'd you guys get locked down again, did yous? Yeah, fair enough. On your Dan. Dan the man. Copped a bit of a carve up in the media, hasn't he, old Dan? Tough gig. Just started pissing down here. It's an Australian term for it started raining very heavily, for those who aren't familiar with the Australian slang. No, this is a bit of a mix actually. My palette has quite a few colours on here now. It's the Chalice Red from Nocturna, Off-White from that, Green, Blue, Black from Chimera, Ice Yellow, Arbuckle's Brown, and that. There you go. So just a small selection, and I'm just pulling bits and colours together based on where I'm sort of trying to put highlights. Vince, I didn't pick up Joan of Arc. I thought about it. Obviously, I think about most models that come out because I have to buy a lot of models, otherwise I run out of things to paint. But something about the pose or something just didn't quite resonate with me. I think it's a really nice sculpt, but yeah, just didn't work for me. It might be a good topic for your next hobby video, Vince. Is choosing models that suit your style. Yeah, I think it was something about the head, either the angle the head was sitting in or something. Just didn't look like. When I looked at it, I thought, I don't know if I can make that work. Obviously, there are people that can, people significantly better than me, people by the name of Kirill Knave, Mark Masklins, etc. But yeah, just didn't. I don't know if you've seen his latest one, Vince, the Gaia. Another one I looked at and sort of thought, yeah, you know what? I just don't think I can make that work. Choosing models to suit your style. Or your strengths, I guess, because I like painting barbarians and chicks wearing not much. You mean this one, Vince? I was contemplating starting her, but I decided I'd do this guy. Yeah, exactly, Jeff. I love painting skin. It's my favourite thing to paint, and so when I'm looking at models, whether it's a conscious thing or a subconscious, it's probably subconscious most of the time. I'm biased towards models that have lots of skin and look like they'll be fun for me to paint. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Alright. Bought a couple of new paints still this week. Ready to use. Game colour, charred brown. There it is. Ooh. I don't know if many of you remember the old Games Workshop paint Scorched Brown. It was my favourite colour back in the day. Up there with Red Gore, Bleached Bone. So, whew, get excited. Reminds me a lot of Scorched Brown. Yeah, that's probably true, Vince. I used to get teased a lot back in the day by Jeff actually, and a couple of other guys for my painting techniques back in those days, pretty much amounting to paint something brown and then give it a wash. So they used to call me Brown with a Wash. So that was probably a fair comment back in those days. Don't know if that's the case anymore, Jeff, eh? I actually painted this guy before, but the bust version, and I did some similar skin tones on his face, and I remember really liking it. And then I couldn't get the armor to look anywhere near as good as the face. Don't have it anymore, so I can't grab it and show you, but I wonder if it's possible for me to share a picture of it on my stream. Sure, that would be possible somehow. It was dog shit though, so probably not worth showing anyway. Hello, Set. Hi, Nicole. Miss you guys. Sure you don't miss me very much. I was always a pest. I still am. Still am a pest. Always, mate. You just make the call and I'll be there, pal. Cheap brushes I like. Not many. Chum Dab, not many. Broken Toad are probably the cheapest brushes I would purchase and use these days. And they're not really cheap. They're a very good product. So, yeah, I mean it's either Winsor and Newton Series 7 or Broken Toad. They're the only two brushes I use. I've got some cheap like synthetic ones like this that I just got from Officeworks that I use for just random stuff. Not base coating usually, but mixing stuff around in the airbrush and shit. But yeah. Oliver Closeoff. I have a Gundam sitting over on my shelf actually to paint, but I haven't ever done one before. No. There's a shop just near me that does stock quite a lot of Gundam models, so I bought a couple to try and paint. It's on my list of things to paint this year. Yeah, I'm sure they would be fun. Get to do some cool airbrush tricks and stuff. Oh yeah. That's a cool technique. I mean, I think that there's a lot of techniques that people that paint tanks and historical stuff have been doing for many years that for some reason miniature painters like us haven't really had access to or know much about, that people in the Gundam community and historical community have been doing for years. And oil paints is probably one that falls into that category in general, just their use. Don't see a lot of miniature painters that do this stuff using oils, with a few notable exceptions. Dmitry Faseshko does a lot of fantasy stuff and uses oils. Yeah, when you have a really good quality brush that is of a high what I'm trying to say, at the moment, the Winsor and Newton for a long time were the absolute gold standard of brushes, but just recently I've had a few more than I would consider normal that are just not very good, like this one. So they're still my preferred brush because I think their worst is worth risking in case you get their best, which is brushes that last me for years and years. But yeah, recently I haven't had great experiences with them, particularly in the size 1s and 2s. Yeah, that's interesting. X-Tab, I haven't seen much in the old army painting these last few months. I've been pretty focused on display stuff. Yeah, the stock on the Winsor and Newtons has been awful the last few months. It's not just Winsor and Newtons though, stock on everything's been awful. Thanks to COVID. Good excuse for just about everything these days. Bit of COVID. Can't come to that party. Can't help you move house, GT. I got COVID. There is a competition every year down in Canberra, sorry, called the Crystal Dragon, which has been the closest we've had to some of the European competitions like Monty and Scale Model Challenge. But there is quite a few hobby competitions that have been around for a long time. There's the Queensland Model Hobby Expo in Brisbane. There's the Melbourne Hobby Expo thing. I don't know the exact name of it because I'm not from Melbourne, but yeah, so I wouldn't say we've got a huge scene. I'd say there's probably maximum of 60, 70 entrants at Crystal Dragon each year. But we tend to punch above our weight. We've got some awesome painters. Dave Colwell, Cara Nash, Casey Hastings, to name a few. That are absolutely world class. And then if you look at the historical scene, we've got guys like Graham McNamara, and even a couple of the Kiwi guys come over for those competitions. John Belcher is he's absolutely world class. He comes over for a few of the Australian comps. So to broadly answer your question, not really, no. Not really. Yes, my good friend Mr. Colwell, the legend that he is. Might send him a message actually. I'm streaming now. Come hang out, you peanut. That was the Colwell. What a legend. Yeah, no, he's unbelievable. He and I are probably about as different in terms of style as you can get. He's all about super clean lines and ultra smooth gradients. I'm all about neither of those things. I'm all about painting shit as quick as you can. He does take a long time to do things, but he has a lot of time to paint. So he tends to knock through projects relatively quickly. Alrighty. Cool. Stream's been going for about 1 hour. And I probably had a aborted stream of about 20 minutes. So that's cool. Yes, that's probably my one claim to fame, is that I can do things very quickly. Don't think that's always a good thing, but I certainly can knock over some models. Haha. That and the fact that I smash you every time we play board games, Freezy. Hello, pal. Hey, send a message to Gertie, will you? Tell him I'm painting non-metallic metal on stream. Alright, let's switch away from the metal for a bit. Do some gold. Always believe in that's gold. Snake Eyes and I play board games every week, Freezy, and he will tell you, he will confirm for you right now that my singing happens incessantly. So I apologise in advance for that. Yeah, I was going to do a little bit on these little things, but I can do the cloak. We can only hope, does I? Wonder what caused the cam link to just die on the first attempted stream. Don't know. Yeah, that may have been it. Yeah. As I said earlier in the stream, my painting style is speed. Yes, that is the first. The first layer was off white mixed with ice yellow, and then the next layer it was just off white. Yeah. Now I'm going to use this product. And normally, well, depends on the model. I don't always need to use this. I can sometimes control the airbrush well enough that I don't need to use this, but because of the armor and what I'm going to use for this step, I'm just going to protect some of the work I've done before. This is available in Australia. Yes, Xtab indeed. At this stage, I think I'm going to try for a regular Saturday night for me stream, which is now. Well, Saturday afternoon now. What is the time actually? Oh, 4:30. Cool. Yeah, so I'm going to aim for a 4-ish hour stream on Saturdays at some point, because that's normally when I paint. One of the times I normally paint. And then maybe a couple of times during the week as well. And yeah, the palette cam's probably a little way off yet. I do have intention to do it, but I don't have the specific setup for it just yet. When I get my proper tripod, I might set it up then. Just got a lot of stuff happening on my painting table at the moment, and I would prefer the painting not be inhibited by my attempts to stream. That's my biggest issue, my biggest goal, is to make sure that my painting gets to continue in a very fluid, freeform and dynamic way, so that I still enjoy painting. Cool. So if you've not seen this stuff before, it is really weird consistency. It's tacky, but it holds its shape. It's vastly different to Blu Tack. It's got such a different feel, and I dig it. Just getting some purple colours out on my palette at the moment. Yeah, you can do cling film. The Panzer Putty is just specifically for it. It's just really good stuff. So it's what I use, and that's that. Where did my little mixie brush go? There you are. And so this is just a filter of a dilute colour, which I'll do several filters over. And mixing a few different colours together. There's not many hobby shops that sell it over here, Vince, in Australia, so... This is probably a fair question, Vince. What do you think's more important, palette cam or my melon cam? Because I can just use that one that's looking at my face at the moment that I'm not very good at looking into for the palette instead. Okay. Have you seen my melon though? I got a head like a beaten favourite. Face like a drop pie. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with the chat bagging the shit out of me. You can't quite see that, can you? This is what I'm doing. I'm mixing red. Fair point. Going a bit though, thinning a bit on top, not as bad as some of my friends, but stress of the old job isn't helping. Koki, you should see Koki, Jeff. Fuck. It's almost gone. Yeah. He dropped the beard the other day. Got rid of it. That was funny. Bald all over. Just how Annie likes it. They're probably not tints because, I mean, they are tints, I guess, but they're covering up a lot of the texture, and it's why I'm always happy to go quite aggressive with texture, particularly when I'm using something like this, because you don't have a lot of it left over. Super satisfying. Love that. Boom. Yep, spot on. Do some wee little highlights now and we'll call that a day almost on the cloak. Usually at this juncture that I like to do some texturing as well, so I'm just going to find my favourite colour, or one of my favourite colours at the moment. Where are you, you little fucker? Too many paints. Ah, there you are. Haha. Orchid light. Which range? Nocturna. Yeah, there's no one that stocks them in Australia. I ordered them from Jesus Nocturna himself. His name's not actually Jesus Nocturna. It's Jesus Martin Not sure how you pronounce it, if it's Jesus or Jesus. But I met him when I was at Scale Model Challenge. He's a great dude. I don't really dislike painting any colours. Really. Back when I was rubbish, I used to hate doing metals, and I don't think yellow's an easy colour to paint, but I don't dislike it these days. It's all about practice and technique, really. I think. Could be wrong. I've not watched a lot of mini painting on Twitch. No, Xtab. I follow a number of Patreons though. Quite a few Patreons I subscribe to. More to support the artists because I like the artists than I don't get an awful lot of time to watch the videos. Sometimes I do. I'm going to try and do a cold gold with this. Yeah, Flameon is a crazy painter that I have just no interest in learning how to be like. The people whose Patreons, see you GT, have a great night, legend, miss you. The people whose Patreons I subscribe to are people who align with the type of painting I want to do, which is full of colour, fun, fast, without getting bogged down in the minutiae. Flameon is obviously just ridiculously good. Just takes a really long time to achieve that result. I mean, I know how he does it. Same way guys like Dave do it. It's awesome, but it's just not the way I want to paint, so. I was subscribed to Bohun's for a little while. He does a lot of dry brushing. It's cool, yeah. The Patreons I currently still subscribe to are Craft World Studio, Sergio Calvo Rubio, and I recently re-subbed to Oliver Spaeth Onagard, who does some really cool terrain stuff, and I felt like I needed to up my terrain game for my next project, so wanted to get a bit of a handle on that sort of stuff. But yeah, that tends to be the guiding principle for me on Patreons, and I want to see things that align with the way that I want to paint, and I want to see stuff that I don't know how to do. It's basically where I hang my hat on Patreon and Twitch and stuff. I don't know too many miniature painters on Twitch, but I know most of the ones that I'm aware of don't tend to do this sort of painting. They tend to do army painting. So we've been going for almost 2 hours on this guy now. I think he's looking alright. Miniatures Den. Yeah, actually, I saw him on Instagram the other day. I had a look at his page. Nothing about it made me want to jump up and follow him. As I said, I'm quite time poor when it comes to watching painting videos. I spend more of my time actually painting, so I tend to be quite picky about the ones I do pay for. This one. Yeah, I'm not sure how the finance side of thing works. on Twitch, but I don't imagine there's a lot of money to be made in Twitch streaming from miniature painters, whereas Patreon seems to be a pretty reliable way of making some money out of this for people that want to do it as a career, which I do not. Did you like the Joan of Arc X-Tab? Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to say it's a bad model, because I think it's pretty special. Just don't know that it's something I want to paint. And what I like most about Karl Rudik's models, like this one, is I feel like he's really got a really high quality. Really, he's committed to the vision that he's got for his products, and he does it. It's just cool. I like how many boutique designing companies there are out there now, like, Nico Galaxy. I don't like everything Nico Galaxy does. Some of them I think are really weird and never want to paint them, but he knows what he wants to be. Yeah, I had the Wind Rider from Robot Rocket Rock Up just the other day, which is exciting. Yeah, Reconnect is cool. I actually painted the bust version of that quite a while back. Didn't end up picking up that one. Felt like I'd painted the bust and that was enough. I may go back down the track and pick it up, who knows. Yeah, Charles Agius. Started his own web store, I believe. Yeah, CA Sculpts. Yeah, he sculpted a model for a game coming out soon called Sankushan Five Sacrifices, and that model, the Goddess of Death, was from that game. And yeah, it's quite out there. There's one of the other models on his personal page, which I'm hoping he releases. It's a diorama, sort of like over the river Styx or something, like a diorama like that, with just crazy sculpting. I dig that guy. He's done most of the Limbo range. I've painted quite a few of those. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I come from an army painting background. That's where I started. I was a fanatical Warhammer fantasy player and a crazy War Machine player, and then got into Guild Ball and just painting like 8 models instead of 50 was like the best experience ever. And yeah, I sort of naturally evolved from painting just little Guild Ball teams into spending all my time painting display stuff, and it ended up being, yeah, the thing about it, I say this a lot to people, is you get to paint just to paint something, like you're not painting for something, you're painting so that you can enjoy the experience of painting, the zen of painting, if you will. And so all of a sudden it's just a different mindset. You're not like, I'm painting this for a reason, I'm painting this to achieve X result. You're just painting because you want to paint. It just changes your mindset and frees up your experience. Yeah, I mean, super competitive is probably a fair descriptor for me. I was also super good, so that was why I was super competitive. Yeah, exactly. Chum dubs. You don't have to just repeat the same colours and the same process over and over and over ad infinitum. It's just cool. I'm going to paint something green today, or I'm going to paint something purple today, or I'm going to paint a space marine, or I'm going to paint a cool vampire with a big sword. You just get to do what you want. It's quite refreshing. Yeah, painting display stuff is a bit of a drug, actually. Like, at the time when I was started display stuff, I had a few Guild Ball commissions that I was trying to knock over, and they took me a lot longer than they should have because I just didn't want to paint them. That's also commissions in general. I don't do a lot of commissions for that very reason. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, mate. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I'm pretty pro. I mean, as you can see here, I don't take a lot of time to refine everything to absolute perfection. There's certainly some areas I could improve and take more time, but again, it comes back to why you're painting. I'm painting because I enjoy it and I want to enjoy painting, and so this isn't something I want to sit there and slave over one shoulder pad for 6 hours like I've seen some guys do. Fucking shoulder pad's awesome though, better than anything I could ever paint in my life probably, but hard pass. Yeah, Banshee's an inspiration. I got to hang out with him at Monte Sansovino this year. We did his speed painting class, which is cool, and yeah, I like his feelings. I probably more identify with Roman Lepart than I do Banshee, if only because I think Banshee can sometimes he's aggressively defending his opinions on occasion. I just don't. I don't think anyone should be upset about painting for whatever reason. I think people should just paint and enjoy what they're painting. If some people have a different approach, that's okay. It's okay to not be ultra smooth. It's okay to be ultra smooth. It's okay to just paint. Just paint and enjoy it. So happy painting is probably my hashtag more so than fuck smoothness. Yeah, I set myself some goals for the year. I have some board games goals, which I want to play the top 11 to 30 board games on Board Game Geek. Because last year I played the top 10. So that's one, and I want to finish my Knights of Camelot diorama and paint 50 display models if I can. We'll see if I can. Adding the diorama into that as 13 models will probably be the only way I get to 50, so that may happen. Yeah, they are, but I try to treat a diorama as one model instead of however many models are on the diorama. That's what I did last year. So I only painted 27 models instead of the 50 I was aiming for last year, even though I did like 5 dioramas. I'll explain a little bit more what your question is. Not sure I understand it. I try to do two things when I'm painting a model, and the first is make sure that it feels like it comes from the same environment. So often you see people paint a model and they'll use the same colours for their weapons that they did on their last model, and they'll do the same colour for their leathers that they did on their last model, and the same colour for their XYZs that they did on their last model. And whilst that's cool to have, I guess, a solid technique and a solid way of doing things, it's not actually true to how light and colour interacts in the real world. And I tend to exaggerate how light and colour acts in the real world in a miniature scale. I tend to be very over contrasted and over saturated, but that's a separate issue. So what I'm trying to do is shade and highlight across the model with similar colours, and use, for example, purples, because that's what the colour of the cloak is, in the armour of the model, because the model would be reflecting that colour because it's in the same environment. So I guess to answer your question, I use the same colours in highlighting and shading because Kaha's again, she's got another approach which is different again, but my approach is just to make sure that everything feels like it belongs in the same atmosphere and in the same environment, and that all of the surfaces are talking to each other. I think she sort of uses colours in a very special way. Same as Craftworld, you see one of her pieces and you just straight away know, yeah, that's Kaha, and it's it's awesome that you got such a unique style. So at the moment, I feel like this is going okay. I'm about to go away for a few hours and have some dinner and stuff. But my biggest issue at the moment is this area needs to be the focal point, and it's not. At the moment, I'm sort of getting drawn down here where there's warmth. So I think I'm going to add some redness to the face and up the contrast of the face to try and draw more focus there. Painting these areas in the gold colour that I'm going to do them, this will be gold as well, and this will be gold, should help sort of smooth everything out a little bit. And yeah, so we'll see how far we get with this guy tonight. I don't think I'll finish him, but I'll get pretty close maybe. Alright, might call it a day on the stream there. Thank you, bros and friends, for joining. I'll see you all another time. Big dinner.